Oh, welcome back, everybody. Um, Getting started today. I finally got the rack and pinion and sway bar from Church Boys Racing that was a couple months in the process, unfortunately, and has been kind of the nail in the coffin relative to even considering dealing with them anymore. And even in that, I ran into a pretty big hiccup because I shipped them everything back and I got the rack back and it has no tie rod ends, which the kit comes with tie rod ends. Now, I am not 100% positive that I sent the tie rods back. I've already torn apart my garage. I can't find them. So what I did is I went ahead and ordered new tie rods, not from Church Boys Racing, but from Detroit Speed, who actually makes the kit that they use. They just adapt it with their own steering arms for their kits that they provide. So I am very happy to be done with dealing with them, and I'll explain a little bit more as we're getting into working on the car. Now, so you guys can see, the kit came in, and unlike the other ones, we already have these bushings that are installed on the rack itself. We have the Detroit Speed and Engineering spec sheet and install info. They sent with a fresh steering shaft as well as hardware and the Borgeson joint and power steering stuff. Then came the sway bar here that I'm glad I have now, and let me get in focus. Now that I have it, that we can go ahead and toss this on too, and once tie rods get in from Detroit Speed, we can wrap up the steering and call it a day, with the exception of the steering column. Now, to get set up for this, we had this go on, which these are the steering arms that come from the Church Boys Racing kit. I have, of course, the TBM brakes behind there. Of course, the Church Boys Racing arms. Then we have this cross shaft from Church Boys Racing as well, or cross member. And this is what the rack is going to attach to. All that's installed already. So we just have some bolting up to do, and it's not going to be a big fight today, which I'm pretty happy about. All right, the first thing I'm going to do real quick is just unbolt the front wheels. They're not on here tight. They say that this will make it easier. Okay. So luckily, these are 3/4 inch on these. And then I might have to do some adjustment, but my arms are also really tired because I went to jiu-jitsu today and before starting this, and hopefully I still have some strength left to break these loose. I want to get the sway bar done before the steering rack because I believe it's going to be the easier process. I mean, that's the goal, at least. So here's where we're coming, are these two particular bolts, and that's going to be the mounting bracket for the sway bar. So I got to break these two loose on each side. You really need to get a couple power tools. That'd be super helpful. That's for sure. But until then, gotta work with what you got. Now to get this guy in place, at least loosely, with the brackets that hold it in place, which are these guys, right? So we know that this is either going to slip on the end and go down or something, but these are just a hard plastic, right? Like there's nothing, like I'm actually concerned that I'm going to break this because it feels so cheap. I'm actually really surprised this is a plastic, but looks like it just kind of snaps on the end and then you run it up. The brackets previously, they actually installed this bolt upside down, so I need to fix that so that there's more clearance here because it keeps hitting this guy. That's kind of annoying. I have never known a bolt to be installed nut on top in case it ever gets loose, the whole thing drops out. Whereas at least if it's bolt top down, it can stay in place potentially. That's a first for me. Annoying, yes. Fixable, yes. Okay, this should make a difference. Okay. Now to tighten these 4 bolts up most of the way. I'm not going to do it completely because I may need to slide the sway bar back and forth a little bit. But at least get them to where they're not going to fall out. It's always a good place to be, is not falling out. I can put the control arms back in place. Not bad, pretty close. We can work on to the sway bar brackets, which I really just need to change our position here. So with this, we have the bracket itself, which will fit right here, and then the end link for the bracket, which will go here, and this should be up here somewhere. I'm still not the biggest fan of this clearance on this, to be honest with you. Like where this bolt is and everything is like, it's super weird. It doesn't make sense to me. Like it feels like it should be further. It really does. But like going by the instructions, this is what the instructions show. So yeah, anyways, this is what the instructions show, so what am I supposed to do? You know what I mean? Then I got the hardware. Like, the funny thing is like they show this hardware to be top down. And so it's like a little goofy to me, but I'm not the ones who designed the system. And like I said, like after this stuff, I'm done with Church Boys Racing. And the big reasons why I'm done with Church Boy Racing is not because of quality of product, it's a quality of service issue. They accused me of not sending them back the rack and pinion when I spoke with Chuck Jr. directly and said that he got it. And I had a weird feeling, so I actually kept my email confirming the delivery of the rack, and I'm so glad that I did. I really am. And then after I had to prove to him that I already sent everything back, well, before even that, he's like, well, we're gonna have to charge you full price, and then when the products get here, like, we'll deduct you and whatnot. And then I had to remind him, like, I sent him the proof, like, hey, here's what I sent you, here's when it arrived, we talked on the phone, and you said, even yourself, we have it, here's this, here's that, like so on and so forth. And I was like, okay. And he said that you guys, that they had the products, and with the products already there, they'd be able to go ahead and ship it out that day. So a month went by, and I didn't get anything. I didn't get a tracking number. I didn't get anything. And so that was when I contacted them and said, hey, where is everything? You said that this would be shipped out. And they tried to argue with me and so on. Like, they still got one out right away, but like their poor organization is been such a frustration. As when I spoke with them on the phone, like, I totally understand. Like, they're a family business, not even mom and pop, because they have Chuck Sr., Chuck Jr. But like, they're busy. Like, they have busy work, like so on, and they're like, it's just us family. It's like, then hire somebody to keep things organized and help you. And I had this conversation with a friend of mine, or a business partner of mine, in one of my investments, and that's like, people want to be or work in a particular industry, but the challenge is, like, a lot of people that do so are like B and C students, and like, that's not great. You know what I mean? How are you supposed to be expected fantastic stuff when the majority of people are doing it because, you know, it's fun and they don't have the maturity to try and do better? And that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people, a lot of businesses that want to hire. That's like, well, no wonder people are swapping to automated systems, because quality of individuals has been degrading for years and years and years. But anyways, as I get these put in place, all right, we got some rod ends for the brackets here. We have an upper and lower. This is a shorter bolt than this one. This one goes into the sway bar, maybe, once it lines up, hopefully. Just one thing after another with these, isn't it? Let me try this way. Well, let me put this back where it needs to be. I go that way, and like, it's like they didn't clean it out to fit the size bolt that's intended for it. So I'm gonna have to do that now. Super annoying. All right, we made it through. So put the lock washer and nuts on these. I'm gonna tighten the mounts, then make sure that we're looking at everything being pretty squared up on the sway bar, so nothing's weird, and at least wrap this part up. Now, I'll be honest with you, like, this bracket is not set up in a way where it just naturally wants to be tightly lined up to what would look like the position it's supposed to be in. So you gotta kind of tap it a couple spots for it to line up and look centered to the control arm. But we're talking products on American vehicles, not Porsches, where back in the 60s, like the lateral tolerances side to side on an American car were, you know, like half an inch, and a Porsche were like 5 millimeters. You know, now, as I have everything loosely tightened up, I don't like the space here on the sway bar one side to the other. The other side is actually less than this side when I'm looking at it, and it really kind of bugs me, to be honest with you. It doesn't make me feel like there is not going to be interference, and I have this thing oriented exactly how the instructions say to orient it. I'm going to try to slide the bracket over just a little bit, or slide the sway bar over just a little bit, so it looks a little more even. Remember, I haven't even tightened down the hold down brackets for the sway bar a whole lot. Like, that's feeling a little better side to side, and it looks like I could go a little bit more towards the driver's side. I'm thinking that's as even as it's going to get, so I'm going to finish tightening everything down and call it a day. Now with everything tightened up, I still don't feel better about that spacing on it, but we'll just have to see once we get to the point where we have this thing on the ground. But in the center, this thing looks pretty equal side to side in person. So this is going to be the best we can work with. I'm going to wrap it up for today. Thanks for watching. Try to like, subscribe, comment if you're interested in some of the pieces of this build as we go along. And I will see you guys soon as we tackle the rack and pinion.